Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our webinar. My name is Trina Boyko. I'm a content writer here at Brain Tumor Foundation of Canada. I'm glad to be here with you today for our webinar on primary brain tumor statistics in Canada, incidence, prevalence, and survival rates. Start with our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that Brain Tumor Foundation of Canada is located on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Attawandaron, and Wendat peoples. We honor and respect the history, languages, and culture of the diverse Indigenous people who call this territory home. We move forward with a profound sense of gratitude and respect for the land and its original caretakers, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work and live in this territory. So I'd like to welcome you all to today's webinar. Our webinar series is designed for anyone impacted by a brain tumor, whether patients, survivors, caregivers, and volunteers, as well as healthcare professionals and researchers seeking to expand their knowledge. Our sessions explore a wide range of topics, including neuro-oncology, neurosurgery, research advancements, psychosocial oncology, mental health, and caregiver support. So just a few housekeeping notes before we start. This webinar will be recorded, and a link to the webinar will be shared with all registrants within 1 week. The recording will also be available on our website at braintumor.ca. We will have dedicated time at the end of the presentation for questions and discussion. Please send your questions through the Q&A function and not through chat. Also, please note we are unable to answer very specific questions. We encourage you to contact your health team for specific advice. Along with the webinar recording, any resources shared during the webinar will be emailed to all registrants within a week. So before we get into our topic, we're going to share a few quick polls so you can gain a better understanding of who's joining us today. We're going to put the poll up now, so if you could please fill them out, we would appreciate it. Mhm. Great. Thank you so much for filling out our polls. Now I'd like to introduce the speaker. Our speaker today is Dr. Yuan. Dr. Yuan obtained a PhD degree in statistics from the University of Waterloo in 2008 and joined the School of Public Health at the University of Alberta in 2011. Her research program focused on developing and applying biostatistical methods in cancer related to population health and biomedical research. Dr. Yuan's ongoing applied health research focuses primarily on 2 areas. One is in risk prediction of late effects in childhood cancer survivors and the related methodology aspect, and the other is brain tumor surveillance and developing artificial intelligence tools for improving cancer surveillance. Welcome, Dr. Yuan, and thank you for being with us today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm just going to start my presentation right away. Okay, so okay. Yeah. So I'm going to share with the audience today about the population study of primary brain tumors in Canada, and this I am the co-PI of the Brain Tumor Surveillance Research Collaborative of Canada. It's previously known as the Brain Tumor Registry of Canada. It was conceptualized in 2016 by Dr. Faith Davis and established in 2019 to address the sparsities of adequate surveillance data of CNS tumor, like central nervous system tumors in Canada. So I'm going to use like brain tumor and the CNS tumor interchangeably in this talk, just for the ease of this flow. So our objective of this research collaborative is to improve the infrastructure for identifying and reporting on all primary CNS tumors in Canada, capturing the heterogeneous nature of these tumors, and providing biannual high-quality surveillance estimate, including incidence, prevalence, and survival rates on brain tumor. So I'm going to talk about a few studies on the primary brain tumor, highlight a few studies of primary brain tumors that our research collaborative have accomplished in the recent years. The first one is the surveillance study on the incidence, prevalence, and the survival. This data is a little bit old. It is the Canadian Cancer Registry data for new cancer diagnosis, between which was available to up to 2018. We are currently working on the data up to 2022. It was made available to us this summer, so hopefully next year we will be able to put a report on the newest statistics. But before that report being putting together, this is the best up-to-date data we have now in Canada. So CCR is the Canadian Cancer Registry data, and it was linked to the Canadian Vital Statistics DAS database and the T1 tax personal master file to identify essentially the vital status up to December 31st, 2017. And we used the ICD-03 code for this brain tumor inclusion. And then we used the Central Brain Tumor Registry of the United States for categorizing these CNS tumors into histology types. So this is basically a flow chart of our the basic basis. These two kind of vital status related files was linked to the Canadian Cancer Registry data. And this data is put together by the Statistics Canada from all provincial cancer registries, because all the cancers was reported by each provincial and territory authority. And then after they collect the data, go through the data cleaning process and remove all the duplication and so on, they release the data to researchers who request it. And then we used the ICD-03 code that is available in the CCR and the CB Trust histology classification for grouping. And then we classify these tumors also by behavior, whether or not they are malignant or non-malignant, which include a benign and uncertain behavior type. So this is a flow chart for the incidence, prevalence, and the survivor cohorts. For the incident and the prevalence cohort, we used the CNS tumor diagnosed between 2018 to 2017, based 8-year cohort. And there is a total 46,000 patient with 48,000 diagnosed primary brain tumors. We excluded Quebec patients because Quebec data is only available until 2010. There's no further data available in that year database. But in the 2022 database that we're currently working on, we do have Quebec data. So we are very excited to work on that and look forward to report those analyses in our next report. And we for this report, we exclude the Quebec patients. We exclude the missing patient with missing death or birth date, and also patient whose tumors are not classified by the CB Trust categories. And this create our incident cohort, which can include 47,000 tumors on 45,000 patients. And then after we exclude the patient died on or prior to December 2017, December 31st, 2017, we end up with a prevalence cohort, which is including 28,000 patients. And for the survival cohort, we actually used a longer time period. We used a 10-year time frame from 2008 to 2017, and we exclude the patient as we previously discussed. Same criteria, numbers slightly different because the inclusion criteria are slightly different, and then we end up with this survival cohort. And for the methods, we use a multiple primary, for patient with multiple primary brain tumors, we use NCI-SEER multiple primary rules. And for the incidence, we calculated the frequency, basically the counts. And we report also the age standardized rates per 100,000 person years of observing. And we use the method called direct standardization on the 2011 Canadian standard population to report these age standardized rates. So this pie chart essentially showed the distribution of all primary brain tumors by major histology group, which is in the inner cycle here. And then the minor histology group that we used from the CB Trust is on the outer side, outer circle here. So we can see that neuroepithelial tissue tumors are the highest portion, followed by meninges, and followed by unclassified tumors, and then cellular regions, cranial spinal nerves, and I can't read that one very clearly now here. And for the in the neuroepithelial tissue, the glioblastoma occupy the majority, the biggest portion of it. And for the meninges, the meningioma is the largest minor histology group of it. And this is based on the incidence of the 8-year incidence cohort. And if we break it down by malignant by behavior, which on the left side we have the pie chart for the malignant primary brain tumors, and on the right-hand side we have the non-malignant brain tumors, and the color indicate different type of the major histology types. And from the clockwise, we had a tumor of neuroepithelial tissue, tumor of cranial and spinal curves, tumor of meninges, and so on, like followed by this color coding here. So essentially, we can see in the malignant tumors, 83.5% are composed of the tumor of neuroepithelial tissue, and for the non-malignant tumors, the largest one is the tumor of meninges, which occupied 40%. This figure shows the age standardized incident rate for malignant primary brain tumor by province. So this is a Canadian map, and the color heat map, essentially the color intensity indicates the incident age standardized incident rate in different territories and the province. Just to want to make a clear, like the 3 provinces here, Alberta, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan, they were actually estimated together as one region, and the Atlantic region were estimated together. So they share the same incident rate in this figure, and the territories share this the same they were combined together to estimate this age standardized incident rate as well. And we got 7.9 per 100,000 person year for malignant primary brain tumor. And as I indicated earlier, the Quebec was excluded, so there's no data for Quebec in this. The next graph here shows the age standard incidence rate for non-malignant primary tumors, as obtained from CCR data, and we can see that the Ontario had the highest number, while other provinces had a much lower number. As you can see, the color scheme here ranged from 5.5 to 16.5. And we know that this is because of the underreporting of non-malignant brain tumors in most of the provinces. The Ontario had the highest incident because its reporting is the most complete. So we're working on to improving the completeness in other provinces. So for the prevalence, we looked at the cohort is the same 2010 to 2017, and this number is based on the prevalence cohort, which comes from 28,000 patients. The index date is 2018 January 1st. So as of 2018 January 1st, there is 28,530 patient with primary brain tumor alive, who were diagnosed within the last 8 years. Okay, so that's why it's an 8-year limited duration, person year based prevalence proportion, and this prevalence proportion exclude Quebec. And then we applied the total Canadian population to obtain the count estimate. So essentially, we exclude Quebec, but then we also we get the rate, the proportion, the rate, and then we apply to the entire Canadian population to obtain an estimate for the entire Canadian count. So this figure shows the age adjusted prevalence proportion per 100,000 of primary brain tumor patients. From top to bottom, we have non-malignant unclassified tumors, malignant unclassified tumors, and the color and as listed here. As you can see, the malignant neuroepithelial tumors, which is a lowest one underneath here, for different age group, the pediatric, young adolescent and the young adults, and then seniors. There are more or less the prevalence are more or less stable across time, across age. However, this is different for, say, for example, non-malignant meningeal tumors, as it's very age. A lot of people live with these non-malignant meningeal tumors in the older age group. And this figure actually just break down by behavior and by sex. And we looked at the top 4 prevalent brain tumor as of January 1st, 2018, that index date, stratified by male and female, and the glioblastoma is still the highest one in the malignant CNS tumors, with the prevalence in the 1,000 in male, and then in the female it's close to 800, and it was followed by the paleocytic astrocytoma, oligodendroglioma, and the glioma malignant not otherwise specified. We find that the prevalence is higher in male malignant CNS tumors. It's 4,171 versus 3,190 in females. And on the non-malignant CNS tumors, it's high in females, which non-malignant CNS tumors is 185 versus in males versus 1,800 in females. And for most tumor groups, we have more male patient living with the disease than female patient. Yeah, and for the non-malignant CNS tumors, we just plotted the top three highly prevalent non-malignant CNS tumors. Okay, so next let's talk about the survival rate. We used the Kaplan-Meier survival curve. We reported the net survival rates, which is used a specific method for estimation, and we use a 3 years combined period approach to estimate 1 year, 2 year, and 5 year net survival rates, which is kind of the brain tumor compare with a general population, so to kind of take out the age effect in certain ways. And we also reported median survival by histology type that with at least 16 diagnoses. So this one is a Kaplan-Meier survival curve for patients with selected high incident primary brain tumor histology, where the GBM glioblastoma is in this green line here, and and then the glioma malignant NOS is given by this blue dotted line, and the meningioma is by this red line, and the yellow solid line indicates the malignant unclassified tumors. And this is the x-axis is in years, and the y-axis is simply the survival probability. As we can see, the GBM has a worst prognosis, but the unclassified tumor had a very bad prognosis in the early years as well. And if we look at the 5-year net survival by I selected a few by sex and histology and reporting them here. And these are, the 5-year net survival, and the survival probability. It's highly ranged, low from GBM to the high in paleocytic astrocytoma. And if we do the net survival by age groups, and we can see that the older adults had the worst net survival, and then the adults is slightly better. The children, the pediatric patients, it's better than the adults group, but the best group is AYA group. And this graph gives the net survival in pediatric patients by major histology. This light blue color indicate all CNS tumors in pediatric patients, and then the other colors indicate different different major histology type. The worst survival is in the tumor of neuroepithelial tissues. And the best one is a green one, is a tumor of the cranial and the spinal curves, as you see here. And this, the diagnosis here, I plotted the time point is 5 years. So 1 year, 2 year, and 5 year. These are the three numbers we estimated. The other numbers the other values you see here is the interpretation. We just connected these estimates. One thing I want to make a remark is this is a Kaplan-Meier survival curve comparing selected malignant brain tumors for two different 10-year time periods. One is 1998 to 2007 versus 2008 to 2017. So the blue line indicates the survival in 1998 to 2008, the early period, and the red line here indicates the later period. And these selected malignant brain tumors are GBM, glioma, malignant meningiomas, and malignant unclassified tumors. So we just group all these tumors together and plot their survival probability. And we can see the survival of these selected malignant brain tumors in Canada has had minimum changes over time. I just want to make a note that the GBM make up more proportion in the 2008 to the 2017 period than the 1998 to the early time period, and that's probably contributed to the slightly lower survival probability, so survival experience in the later time period than the early time period. We built a data tool, which is available on our website, to give this more comprehensive information on this brain tumor surveillance data statistics for patients, for healthcare professions, and for other interested parties. And this is basically one of the pages. It shows the age standardized incident rate overview. And I just want to take maybe a few minutes to show you the data visualization tool. Okay, so this is an interactive data tool. And for example, if I'm interested in the incident by age, okay. So this is an incident by age plot, and here we have a major histology group that you can choose, and you can have specific histology group that you can choose. For example, this one specifically I'm showing is GBM and meningioma. So the GBM is in the yellow curve here, and when you move your mouse to the point, they actually give you the information, the detailed information, like age diagnosis for this one is 40 to 54, this 10-year period. The major histology group is a neuroepithelial tissue, and the specific histology group is GBM, and the standardized incident rate, standardized to the 2011 Canadian population, is 4.04. And we also reported 95 confidence interval for this estimate. Again, this is interactive, so you can choose whichever tumor specific histology you are interested. Like for example, I'm adding this value to it, and you can see we end up with we add a new curve here. Okay, and then we have another, like, it's free for you to explore. For example, this is the incidence by provinces, and we can choose different types. This is unclassified tumor, and for any specific, we can choose, all the specific tumor types, and it gives you a map, and it shows, like, in different provinces how much they reported the unclassified tumor. And as you can see from this graph, the Ontario had the highest unclassified tumors. And Quebec, we don't have data. It shows here as well. Yeah, so, and we also had this for net survival, we have prevalence, proportion, and we have prevalence by behavior. So I'm just, yeah, so this tool is available for you to explore on your own. Okay. Oh yeah, one thing I just want to caution is, for example, in this graph here, we have a male on the left side, female on the right-hand side, but the scale here are different. For male, the scale is from 0 to 8, and for female, the scale is from 0 to 6. So the relative size of this bar cannot give you cannot tell you directly which one is higher, which one is lower. You have to look at the scale. And if you hover, like this is a picture, so it won't show. But if you hover your mouse on the bar, the number will show there as well. The exact number will show. That's 95 confidence interval. Okay, so I want to talk a few other project. Highlight a few other projects. The first one is a survival disparity. We used the same cohort for the survival cohort, and we're just interested in to see, how the geographic regions in related to the primary brain tumor patient survival. And we used Ontario, British Columbia, and then we grouped Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba together as a prairie regions, and we grouped then, the Atlantic province together and the territories together. The coverts we have is age at cancer, primary brain tumor diagnosis, sex, and tumor behavior, whether it's malignant or non-malignant. And the methodology we used is a Cox proportional hazard regression for each of the following histology: GBM, glioma malignant not otherwise specified, meningioma, and malignant unclassified tumors. And we selected pediatric patients because pediatric patients with an adult patient had a very different primary brain tumor histology types. And for the pediatric patient, we selected glioma malignant not otherwise specified and embryo tumors, which are the top two highest incident tumors in this age group to study. So here are the results. This is for the entire age group, and we adjusted by age group and sex, and behavior for meningioma, because the other three are all malignant. And this is the forest plot, I believe, and the reference region is Ontario. So if the estimate, the dot here indicates the hazard ratio estimate, and the bar indicated the confidence interval, 95 confidence interval. So if the if the bar is to the this is the right side of this dotted line, which is 1.1, 1.0, that means Ontario had indicate Ontario is having a lower hazard. And if the estimate is on the left-hand side of this of this 1.0 line, then it indicated Ontario have the higher hazard of primary brain tumor deaths. So essentially from this graph, we can see that majority, if not all, of the primary brain tumor, like these 4 histology type we selected, the Ontario had a better survival, has like better survival or lower hazard of death. Specifically, I think the Atlantic province stand out a bit on the hazard of primary brain tumor deaths. The territories, again, that you can see that 95 confidence interval for the territories is very wide. That indicates that we have a very small patient size, so we cannot have very good estimate for the hazard ratio in the territory region. And for the pediatric patient, most of these confidence interval include 1.0, and all the confidence interval are pretty wide. So we only have maybe some trend that showing, say, for example, Atlantic province have a higher incident, higher hazard for the glioma NOS malignant. But otherwise, all the provinces seems to have reasonable similar performance compared to Ontario. The point estimate are, quite large, but the confidence interval is also very large. We need basically more data to have better and more precise estimate, more in the population size, patient is a sample size. More years, for example, can give us better idea of that by region, the hazard of death. Okay, so the last project I want to bring on is the cost of a brain tumor diagnosis. In this study, we used the Canadian Institute for Health Information 2010 to 2014 data. They consist of 2 databases. One is the discharge abstract database, DAD, or we can simply think of it as inpatient data that had cost and the diagnosis. And also the other data is a National Ambulatory Care Reporting System, or we can think of it as outpatient data. So the independent variable here are the cost estimate associated with patient diagnosed with specific diagnosis from these 2 databases. And the covariates we investigate are the ICD code that gives the tumor site and the behavior, and then age, sex, comorbidity. Encounter type refers to inpatient and outpatient, and which province, territory these patients are from. So I want to show these descriptive statistics just to give you an idea of how we selected our population. So as you can see, the inpatient data is in the red, and the blue is the outpatient data. And we can see that other than Alberta and Ontario, there is a very limited or almost none outpatient data being reported from other provinces. So that's why we only going to focus this cost analysis in the Alberta and Ontario. And the numbers indicate the primary brain tumor patient diagnosis from Alberta and Ontario during that 5-year time period from that CIHI dataset. So we first selected all the patients with a cancer diagnosis and identified, because we are not only interested in the cost of diagnosing CNS patient, but also compared with more commonly diagnosed cancers. And we selected colorectal cancer and lung cancer for adult, young adolescent and adult patient. And we select leukemia for the younger pediatric patient, because CNS tumor is the second most common cancer in pediatric patient, but it's a very rare cancer in adult patient. And we selected only Alberta and the Ontario's patient, as we explained why. And we created two cohorts. One cohort is for pediatric, and the other cohort is for everyone above 15 years of age. And the estimate, the healthcare expenditure estimate, we looked at the pre-diagnostic estimate. It was calculated by, we identify the index diagnosis date, which is the primary brain tumor diagnosed date, and it's malignant primary diagnosed date. And we go back 3 years, and we look at the cost, the total cost in the first year prior the cancer diagnosis, minus the average of the last 2 years cost health expenditure of that patient. So essentially, it's a change of that patient healthcare expenditure in the year prior to the primary cancer diagnosis, as a rough measure of the diagnosed cost associated with this particular cancer being diagnosed. So this is the descriptive statistics for the 15 years and older group. We compared the central nervous system tumor versus the colorectal cancer and the lung cancer. And this is the first column indicated the numbers, and then the cost at 50 percentile and the cost at 90 percentile. Again, because healthcare expenditure costs are highly skewed, so it is important to look at the median, which is 50%, and then 90% is the group has the highest incurred highest cost. And the same column for colorectal cancer and lung cancer. And this, the province, the cost at 50%, you can see the Ontario had a 7.1. This, sorry, the number here is in 1,000 Canadian dollars. So this 7.1 indicated it's 7,000 K. And again, this is a change in the pre-cancer diagnosis the year prior to cancer diagnosis year, including that cancer diagnosis date, the cost incurred there at that date. And Alberta has 3.9, but I want to emphasize here in the CNS tumor case, the Alberta was diagnosed most in the first diagnosis occurred outpatient, while Ontario is inpatient. And we know inpatient, which is the hospital, had higher cost than the outpatient cost. As you can see here, the encounter type is inpatient, it's 11K, while the outpatient is only 0.8K. And we compared Alberta with Ontario, look at the cost differences by, I think this is, I think the left-hand side is 50 percentile, and the right-hand side here is 90th percentile. And we always see that the Alberta incurred a higher cost than the Ontario, because it's all greater than 0, and we use the Ontario as a reference. This graph basically shows for the lung cancer patient, for example, in the 65-year and older group, the lung cancer patient in Alberta incurred about between maybe 1,500-ish higher cost in Alberta versus Ontario. For the CNS tumor, it incurred probably 500 to 1,000 that value. And this number is going to be much higher in the in the 90th percentile. And for the pediatric patient, we compared the central nervous system with the leukemia. As you can see, the overall, the cost at the 50 percentile for central nervous system is 5.2K, while for the leukemia is 0.7K. At 90 percentile is 58.5K and 28.7K for leukemia, so much higher cost. And again, we are showing here the provincial comparison, so using Ontario as a comparison. We look at the cost difference for brain cancer, so it's malignant brain tumors, and the leukemia stratified by age, which is 15. This is the same age group, which is 0 to 15-year-old, encounter type and 50th percentile. This is for the 50th percentile. We stratified by the encounter type. So if they are in the outpatient, there's not much different, but for the inpatient diagnosis, the CNS, the Alberta incurred a higher cost than Ontario. And this is at 50th percentile. This is about 10,000-ish. Probably a little bit lower than 10,000, lower than 10,000 for CNS tumor and leukemia patient. So in summary, due to the rareness, the number of brain tumor diagnosis is often too low to permit reporting on more detailed categories of tumors while adhering to the reporting guidelines set by the Stats Canada. I just want to make note of that. So you may see in our data tool that visualize the surveillance of these brain tumors in Canada. There's some histology group is not reported. It is just because the numbers are too small to be reported by the reporting rules set by the Stats Canada. And here in this talk, I presented the most recent data up to now on the incidence, survival, and prevalence among primary brain tumor patients in Canada. I demonstrated interactive app that facilitate data retrieval as well as provide visualization. We looked at the survival disparities, particularly in relationship to the Canadian regions, and we looked at the cost of primary brain tumor diagnosis in compared to more common cancers in Canada in Ontario and Alberta. So yeah, so I want to take the little bit time to acknowledge the Brain Tumor Foundation of Canada, which is provided continuous fundings for our work for the primary brain tumor surveillance work. I like to acknowledge the collaborators, which are the Primary Brain Tumor Surveillance Research Collaborative. My co-PI, Dr. Emily Walker, who is an epidemiologist in Alberta Health Services. And for the four projects we reported here, our key collaborators, including Dr. Seth Clemens in University of Western Ontario and Dr. Jay Iso at University of Alberta. The trainees and the staff members who contribute directly to the project I reported here are Keyun Zhou, Michelle Wu, and Yilin Zhou and Lingwan Xu. And we also like to acknowledge Public Health Agency of Canada and the CDCRDCN, where we research the data center, which provided access to the environment where we can access the Canadian Cancer Registry data. Okay, thank you, and that's all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yuan, for being here and sharing that with us today. We have some questions here, which we're going to head to now.
Yeah.
Let me just go through here. So we have one question. To what do you attribute the trend between sexes, more non-malignant in women and more malignant in men?
Yeah, this is observation we have made throughout I think globally, at least as far as I know, in US and in Scandinavia countries wherever we had the report, we always find the malignant brain tumor had a higher incidence in a male and higher incidence in male. And the non-malignant brain tumor, especially meningioma, is a much higher frequency in females than male. We don't know the specific reason. There are hypotheses. There are, etiology. People are postulating like the reasons, but I don't think there's anything conclusive being reported so far.
Thank you. We've got a few more here. So on the prevalence slide, why is pilocytic astrocytoma, excuse me, shown on the malignant chart and not the non-malignant chart?
I think the let me pull out that particular slide so we can prevalence. The prevalence, this one, right? Oh yeah, it is because we only selected the top 4 malignant CNS tumors in this chart, and we selected only top 3 to report on this chart. If we want to have a more specific look, we can go actually into the data tool. We can look at the data tools together. If we look at, because we want to see the prevalence, right? Prevalence by behavior, and yeah, so here is prevalence proportion by behavior in major histology groups. And let's see, this one is malignant and this one is non-malignant. And if we want to see, yeah, if you look at the non-malignant, the polycytic astrocytoma only had malignant, all of them are considered malignant. There's no non-malignant ones here.
Thank you. There's a few more here. Is the database searchable by the genetic profile of the tumor or by tumor category only?
It's only when you say the database, do you mean CCR, Canadian Cancer Registry? Canadian Cancer Registry data do not have genetic information because all this information is collected by, they only have combined the data but from provincial cancer registries, and and each provincial cancer registry have their reporting criteria and data collection items that set out by the NAACCR, North American Cancer Registry, I think Association, Registry Association of Registries. They have items that they collect, and the genetic information is not in that collection item at this point, not on the population level.
Thank you. Is there any data on incidence, prevalence, and survival rates with patients with more than one primary brain tumor?
That's a very good question. I think we have very little numbers. We don't have a lot of patient with more than one primary brain tumor. For the incidence, we reported on all the primary brain tumor per tumor. Okay, so it's not per patient. But for the survival, we basically used the latest wait, sorry. I have to double check. I think we used the first diagnosed primary brain tumor as the index date to calculate the survivor, to calculate survival rate. If you mean, like if a patient had multiple primary brain tumors, the first primary brain tumor is selected as the index date, as the brain tumor histology, to be for us to report on that patient survival rate and reporting on that particular survival probability of that histology type. So all the subsequent diagnosed primary brain tumor were not included in the survival estimation in this result I presented here. For the prevalence and incidence, I believe we reported on the per tumor type, like histology type, if it makes sense.
Thank you. We do have some more here, and my apologies, we probably won't be able to get to all of them today, but I'll try to get through a few more here. Do they know why glioblastoma incidence rates are higher in BC and Ontario?
Do we have that? Let me check. We can, sorry, let me share screen and we can all look at that together. Okay, so we want to look at incident rate by province, right? Incident rate by province. And we want to look at malignant, and we want to look at tumor of tissue, and I want to look at glioblastoma. Okay, so this is glioblastoma. The Ontario had 3.91, BC had 4.35, Alberta had 4.07, 4.03. We did not see, Ontario did not have the high rate actually. According to this number here, Manitoba and Ontario had a lower incident rate than other provinces. And why do we have that? And this all age standardized incident rate. So yeah, I don't know the reason for why that, but this is information available, and I think these are all interesting questions can be explored.
Thank you. Let's try one more here. How do we improve reporting of diagnoses, prevalence, etc.?
Yes, that is on the cancer registry's shoulder. But we are hoping to help them. I think and the cancer registry, they report malignant brain tumors very well in terms of their incidence. Non-malignant brain tumor is a problem right now in a lot of cancer registries, but we are making progresses. I think we did a study with Manitoba, Ontario, BC, and Alberta, and I think BC and Alberta had a lot of improvement. We see improvement in these two provinces. Ontario, the issue with Ontario is not the completeness, but the Ontario problem is unclassified. They had the highest unclassified brain tumor among all provinces, which is not, it needs improvement, I think. I think with the information technology, with artificial intelligence, and with this, we can develop more tools to help categorizing and reporting, collecting informations. I think the information is there in the diagnosis system, but it's a issue about collecting them and classify them accordingly, accurately in the reporting by individual cancer registry, because they are provincial authorities. Then we will have a better database.